The lights brightened up the front yard, setting the perfect mood for the evening. Friends and family gathered to celebrate my birthday, and I was thrilled to have pulled off a disco-themed party. The decorations were vibrant, the DJ kept the music lively, and everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves. But beneath my happiness, there was tension. This was my first birthday after a tough first year of marriage. My husband's disapproval of the celebration was clear, but I was determined to enjoy the day. Our earlier argument still echoed in my mind. He had stormed into our closet, demanding I cancel the party. "My friends aren't coming, and I don't want to be surrounded by your family," he said, frustrated. I reminded him it was my birthday, but he wasn't interested. He wanted to reschedule, claiming he'd feel isolated and uncomfortable. His anger wasn't new to me. Over time, I'd noticed his attempts to gaslight, manipulate, and control me, often using money as leverage. He struggled with my achievements, wanting to be the center of attention. His behavior, driven by his narcissism, made it difficult for me to celebrate my successes without backlash. He also pressured me to start a family, though I knew we weren't financially ready. His solution was always the same: ask my parents for money. It was a constant source of conflict. He expected me to fulfill his mother's desires, such as buying her a new scooter, despite our limited budget. When I refused to involve my parents, he became increasingly frustrated, as if my independence threatened his plans. I can't shake the feeling that there's more to his demands than he lets on. He threatened me with divorce if I didn't buy his mother that scooter. So I gave in, even though it was the last thing I wanted to do. I felt trapped with no real choice but to keep this marriage going. We haven't even been married a year, but it already feels suffocating. I'm at my breaking point. As I thought back on everything that had happened earlier, I let out a sigh. I just wanted today to be a happy memory. Thankfully, the people who mattered most to me showed up to celebrate, including my college friends. The atmosphere was warm and filled with positive energy, but I couldn't ignore the cold glares from across the room. My husband and mother-in-law weren't hiding their displeasure. Our fight earlier had been awful. He wanted to cancel the party just because his friends couldn't make it. He can't stand the idea of anyone, even me, taking the spotlight. It's baffling how much he seems to resent me. Even when I got a promotion at work, he was bitter because he hadn't been promoted at his job. He blames me for every setback, as if everything is my fault. But today, I refused to let negativity take over. I decided to focus on the guests and enjoy the moment. As I mingled, I found myself talking to Wendy, a friend from college. "Happy birthday, Venice. Thanks for inviting me. It's been ages since we last caught up," she said. "You're welcome. It really has been a long time. 4 years since we graduated with our chemistry degrees," I replied with a smile. We laughed as we reminisced about our college days. Wendy reminded me how I had excelled in our organic chemistry class, even though I tried to downplay it. "You were one of the top students. It's a shame you didn't pursue a career in chemistry," she said. Her words stung a little, but I just smiled and let the conversation flow. I let out a long sigh. I always knew it was a shame. I used to work in chemistry, but I resigned because my husband didn't want me to continue in that field. Wendy looked surprised. "Really? Why? Sorry if I'm being too nosy." "No, it's fine," I reassured her. "My job paid well. Too well, in fact. My salary was higher than my husband's, and he couldn't handle that, so I shifted to another career." I could see the frustration in Wendy's eyes. "You know you didn't have to listen to him." "I know, but he's my husband." Wendy didn't push the subject further. Instead, she encouraged me to enjoy the night, so I tried to let go of my worries and focus on the celebration. Later, Wendy returned with a cocktail in hand, looking excited. "I know what you're up to," she said, her voice full of energy. What do you mean? I asked, curious. She pointed to the cocktail. This taste. It's from your thesis, isn't it? The chemical that slows down how fast alcohol affects you and even blocks any other substances added to the drink. I smiled, impressed that she remembered. She was right. I'd added that chemical to the drinks to ensure everyone's safety and help them drink responsibly. Wendy beamed. Of course, I remember. You won awards for that study. You were the best in our batch. Hearing that brought back my passion for chemistry. I'd loved working as a chemist at a food company, but my husband made me quit after my promotion. He couldn't stand that I earned more than he did. As I mingled with the guests, I noticed my mother-in-law, Helen, sneaking near the bar with my husband close behind. What are they up to? They didn't see me watching as they poured something into one of the drinks. I decided not to confront them immediately, staying calm instead. Just then, Helen approached me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Happy birthday, dear. I've got a special drink for you," she said in an overly cheerful tone. I took the drink from Helen, keeping my cool even though I was suspicious. Thanks, Helen. You didn't have to." I'd seen them tamper with it, so I knew something was off. After a small sip, the bitter taste confirmed my suspicion. It was drugged. Fortunately, I had already added my chemical to the drinks, so I was safe. The idea that they hated me enough to try to drug me on my birthday was shocking. I couldn't believe they'd go this far. I kept my reaction hidden and pretended to be affected, letting my body slump. I don't feel so good," I mumbled, noticing the smug looks on their faces. Monsters, both of them. Guests rushed over, concerned and trying to help me stay upright. They guided me to a nearby couch. "Venice, are you okay?" "What's happening?" someone asked. I faked drowsiness and whispered to Wendy, I think I've been drugged. Call an ambulance." Wendy panicked and quickly asked someone to call for help. Meanwhile, Helen and Richard stood back, watching with cruel satisfaction. I kept up the act, but inside, I was already plotting my revenge. My friend, a doctor, was trying to get an ambulance when my husband stepped in. "No need for that. I'll take care of my wife," he said, lifting me up and carrying me into the house. Helen ordered the party to be shut down and told the guests to leave. Once inside, he placed me on the couch. Helen followed, and I overheard their conversation. "Finally, that awful party is over. I was sick of all those people," she said, her irritation clear. I nearly lost it, wanting to throw all the food out. "Mom, what should we do with her?" he asked. "I don't know what she did. Why did you even make me marry her?" "Because she's rich. I told you her father's a big shot in biotechnology. We could have had a lot of money from her, but I was wrong. She's useless. I can't stand being outshined. Look at her, she's wealthier than me, and I hate being second. We can't change that. She's your wife now, so get all her cards and withdraw her money. By morning, she won't remember a thing." "Are you sure the drug worked, Mom?" "Of course. Look at her, she's knocked out. It worked." My husband immediately searched my pockets, but found nothing, so he headed to our room to take everything valuable from my bag. My heart raced. They had planned this all along. Monsters. They were only after my money. Since I don't rely on my parents' wealth, they've had no luck getting anything from me. That's why they treat me so cruelly. But they'll pay for this. I just need this day to end so I can take my revenge. The next morning, I pretended to wake up groggy and disoriented, acting like I had no memory of what happened. My cards and phone were missing, stolen. My husband and mother-in-law were in the kitchen, acting as if nothing was wrong. "Oh, you're awake. You took some drugs last night," my husband said with a smirk. "What? I did? No way. I faked shock." He chuckled. "Yeah, you caused a scene and kicked everyone out of the party. I'm sure they all hate you now." Lies. He can't fool me. Oh no, I must have lost it. I wonder who drugged me. Maybe the bartenders you hired. You should be more careful next time. If there is a next time, he said, relishing the deceit. I clenched my fists, fighting the urge to retaliate. Oh, honey, have you seen my credit cards? I don't know. Why would you ask me? You're the one who lost them. The doorbell rang, and my mother-in-law fetched the food delivery. They ordered a feast, no doubt using my card. It's good to be rich, right, son? She said with a smirk. Richard nodded, clearly enjoying their little victory. And this is just for us. Get your own food. Furious, I stormed to my room, determined to teach them a lesson. I called Wendy and explained everything: the drugs, my fake reaction, their scheme, and my plan for revenge. Wendy agreed to help. As a chemist, she quickly understood the formula and compounds I needed. I asked her to prepare a special drink that would induce drowsiness. Tonight, I'll invite them to dinner and give them a taste of their own medicine. Wendy promised to deliver the concoction before dinner, setting the stage for my revenge. I walked into the living room and found my husband and mother-in-law indulging in desserts I'd ordered with my money, glued to the TV. I want us to have dinner tonight as a family, I said. My mother-in-law rolled her eyes, dismissing me without a word. Whatever you say, my husband muttered, barely paying attention. They had no idea what was coming. When the delivery arrived, I grabbed the drink and headed straight to the kitchen. They didn't even notice. They were too absorbed in their own world. I prepared the food carefully, making sure everything was perfect for what would be an unforgettable dinner. I poured the special liquid into 2 glasses, knowing that my revenge was just a sip away. I called them to the table. They sat down, looking bored and completely unaware of what was about to happen. What's all this? My husband asked, sounding irritated. I forced a smile. We have some unfinished business. They exchanged uneasy glances but kept their usual attitudes. The tension was palpable. I picked up a glass, the one spiked with a chemical. I want you both to try this new juice I made. It's a special recipe. My mother-in-law eyed the glass warily, but my husband, oblivious as ever, took a sip without hesitation. This is actually pretty good. I'm surprised you're capable of anything, he sneered, laughing. My mother-in-law joined in, though she hesitated before taking her sip. I couldn't help but grin as they unknowingly sealed their fate. As the seconds ticked by, I saw the change in their faces. Fatigue washed over them, and their eyelids grew heavy. My husband was the first to notice. What's going on? I'm so tired, he muttered, struggling to keep his eyes open. My mother-in-law's head started to droop. Why? What did you do? She slurred. Just giving you a taste of your own medicine, I replied calmly. You tried to drug me and steal my money. Now you know what it feels like. They couldn't fight it. Both of them collapsed onto the table, out cold. I immediately called Wendy, my doctor friend, and then the police. By the time they woke up, they'd be in for a shock. Wendy arrived first, making sure they were safe and that the substance wouldn't cause any lasting harm. Then we took them to the police station, still unconscious. At the front desk, I handed over my chemist's license to the officer. These 2 tried to drug me and stole my money, I said firmly. I want to press charges. The officer looked surprised but quickly got to work, calling for backup. We'll handle it, ma'am. Thank you for coming forward. I watched as Richard and Helen were taken into custody. Their past was finally catching up with them. When they started to come to, they found themselves in separate holding cells, groggy and disoriented. And there I was, waiting for them to wake up. What happened? My husband asked, his voice shaky and confused. I don't know. His mother stammered, equally disoriented. The police officer and I approached their cells, my expression firm. Their eyes widened when they saw me. You're in serious trouble, I said coldly. You've been arrested for drugging and theft. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Richard dropped to his knees, pleading through the bars. Honey, please forgive me. His mother quickly followed suit. Venice, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. I promise I'll change. I stood my ground. This is your chance to reflect on what you've done. You tried to hurt me, but I was smart enough to see through your plan. You both need to learn your lesson, I added, turning to the officer to confirm that I was pressing charges and filing for divorce. It was time to free myself. I deserve better.
My name is Mary, and I'm 45 years old. I live with my husband Richard, who is the same age. We met in college and started dating soon after. My first impression of Richard was that he was serious and honest. Though a man of few words, he deeply cared about his family. I was drawn to Richard's kindness and knew I wanted to spend my life with him. Luckily, Richard felt the same way. We even promised to marry each other while still in college. Despite some calling it young love, we continued dating after graduation, and once we began our careers, we decided to get married. To our delight, we had a child shortly after getting married. Our daughter, Sarah, who was turning 21 this year, graduated from vocational school and has started working. Her workplace is close enough to commute from home, but she wanted to live on her own, so she now lives near her job. With Sarah moved out, Richard and I have been enjoying life, just the two of us, for the first time in a while. Life was pretty good, but there was one thing that bothered us: the presence of my sister-in-law, Susan. Susan, who is 38, divorced William last year after being married for 15 years. The reason for their divorce was Susan's infidelity. Despite appearing like an average woman, Susan has a weakness for men and had cheated on William multiple times during their marriage. William had seemingly turned a blind eye, but eventually he couldn't bear it anymore. He collected evidence of her affairs and confronted her with divorce papers through lawyers. Susan didn't have a chance. William even demanded a large sum of alimony from Susan's lover, David, which led to the divorce. What surprised me the most was what happened next. Unbelievably, Susan decided to remarry, this time with David. We found out about her remarriage when we received the wedding invitation. Knowing about Susan's infidelity was messing with my head. Susan, are you really going through with this wedding? Everyone knows about your affair with David. Are you sure about this? Richard, who has always doted on Susan, thinks her remarrying David is cause for celebration. But I couldn't help thinking about William, who got cheated on. Poor guy. And Susan has even more issues to deal with, issues that would soon come crashing down on us. One day, Richard got a call from Susan. Yeah, what? Are you okay? We can't tell what's going on over the phone. Come over now. Richard sounded frantic. After hanging up, he looked deeply concerned. Susan was crying on the phone and seemed too distraught to explain, so I invited her over. Richard's serious expression told me this wasn't something to take lightly. I felt uneasy, wondering what could have happened to Susan, who was supposed to be getting married in 2 months. About an hour after hanging up, Susan arrived at our place, sweating bullets. You could tell she was really stressed out. Welcome, come on in, Richard said. Mary, help me. As soon as she entered the house, it was clear Susan was panicking. Hey, calm down, Richard said, seeing the frantic Susan on the sofa and offering her some coffee. Susan gulped down the coffee and let out a deep sigh, trying to calm herself. What's got you so worked up? I asked. As I looked into Susan's face, she started to break down in tears. Richard, shocked, rushed to console her. It's okay. Can you tell us what is going on? Yeah, okay, Susan said. After shedding some tears, she drank another cup of coffee before she started talking. The thing is, I need your advice about the upcoming wedding. Wait, are you canceling the wedding? Why on earth would you do that? Richard interrupted. No, that's not it. Well, it's not it, Susan stammered. What are you trying to say? Richard asked. It seemed like Susan was trying to figure out how to explain. She hung her head and remained silent for a while. You have to tell us or we can't help. If there's something we can do, we will, Richard encouraged. Susan finally spoke the truth. The truth is, I may not be able to afford the wedding and the honeymoon. What? I was flabbergasted. All that panic, and she was worried about money? Richard turned to Susan. So let me get this straight, you're saying the wedding and the trip might be off because you can't secure the funds. Yeah, Susan replied. You work, don't you? And doesn't David have any savings? It's not that we don't have any, Susan explained. It's just that we spent it all on our divorces. We had to pay William alimony, so we can't afford the wedding or the trip. I was at a loss for words, incredulous that Susan would speak so casually about such a foolish decision. So the point of discussion is, we were hoping to borrow the money for the wedding and the trip from you too, she continued. Richard listened to Susan and furrowed his brow. Clearly, he found this whole situation ridiculous as well. After a sigh, he spoke. Oh, is that all? Well, we have some savings. We can lend you that much. What? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You're lending it to them. Of course it would be heartless to refuse Susan, right? He continued. You don't have to pay us back. He added, turning to me, Mary, you said you have been saving for our parents' care, right? We can lend them the money from that. Richard proposed to lend them money from my savings, not his. No, that money is for my parents. I can't just give it away. Susan broke down crying again, and Richard rushed to comfort her. What's wrong with you, not helping Susan in a time like this? How much do you need, Susan? It's $30,000 total. $30,000? My parents are already over 75. Though they're still healthy, they will need care soon. Being an only child, I had been saving for this purpose. Even after having children, I never quit my job and have saved up money alongside educational funds. I had no desire to use this money for Susan. We'll be using Mary's $30,000 savings for Susan's wedding and honeymoon, Richard stated. I told you, that money is for my parents' care. I continued to adamantly refuse. Richard finally lost his temper. Not helping Susan is crazy. Those who have should give. Then why don't you give it? I retorted. I bought this house. I don't have savings. The house was bought with both our salaries and on a mortgage. That's no reason. What about Sarah's educational expenses? I pressed. We split that too. And by the way, we have split all living expenses so far. Did you forget? At a loss for words, Richard clenched his fists, his face beat red. I suddenly realized that Richard hadn't been saving any money at all. We had been keeping our finances separate since we got married, so I had no idea. Just give me the money, no questions asked. If you don't get it, then forget it. Richard spat out those words and stormed off to his room. I was left alone with Susan in the living room, not knowing what to do. Mary, do we really have to go without the money? Susan looked at me with teary eyes, but that wouldn't work on me. Sorry, you'll have to figure it out yourselves, I said, avoiding further conversation to keep things from getting more complicated. An awkward silence filled the room. Susan seemed to be waiting for me to give in, showing no signs of leaving. After some time, Richard finally emerged from his room holding a piece of paper. I printed out divorce papers. If you won't help Susan financially, then let's divorce. I've already signed them. It's up to you now, Mary. Richard was out of breath, clearly riled up. If we divorce, you will lose this house, Mary. You think a 45-year-old divorcee can easily find a place to live? Richard was looking down on me, confident I wouldn't go through with it. Seeing Richard's arrogance and Susan's irresponsibility, something inside me snapped. You want a divorce because I won't give Susan money? Don't be ridiculous. Enough of making a fool out of me. I snatched the divorce papers from Richard. I'll go through with the divorce. Why don't you pay Susan the $30,000 since you love her so much? My yelling left Richard frozen in surprise. Ignoring him, I quickly packed essentials and left the house. I had nowhere to go, but I took a chance and called Sarah. Hello. Hey, how are you? Luckily, Sarah picked up right away. Rare to get a call from you. What's up? Well, I had a big fight with Richard. If it's not too much trouble, can I stay at your place for the night? Of course, stay as long as you like. Oh, could you make some of your buffalo chicken wings? It's been a while. Sarah loves the buffalo chicken wings I make. Thanks, I'll make a ton of them. I headed to the supermarket to buy ingredients and then drove to Sarah's apartment. After a 30-minute drive, I arrived at Sarah's place. As I started cooking in the kitchen, Sarah awkwardly approached me from behind. What did Dad say to make you consider leaving home? Not wanting to worry Sarah, I replied vaguely. Well, just some stuff. Did? Oh, Mom noticed something. I froze at Sarah's words. What are you talking about? Never mind. Sarah quickly looked away, flustered. I had an instinct that I needed to know what Sarah was getting at. Actually, I've been thinking about divorcing Dad. He said some awful things. Do you know something about it too? The moment the word divorce left my mouth, Sarah's eyes widened. She started talking like a dam had burst. Finally, it's out. Dad is having an affair. I saw him going into a hotel with a younger woman. It made my skin crawl. And that's why I moved out. Sarah's revelation was beyond surprising. I couldn't believe what she was saying and was stunned. An affair? Huh. Wait, it wasn't about that. Sarah's face turned pale. She realized she had spoken impulsively. It wasn't about that, but it sounds like something I should know. Can you tell me more? I'm not going to get any more hurt at this point. Well, if Mom says it's okay, I'll talk. Sarah took a seat and started talking about Richard's infidelity. Just before I graduated, I saw Dad when I was out with friends at a pub. He was walking with a woman I didn't recognize, so I followed them. Sarah had goosebumps on her arms. Seeing your own father's infidelity is not something anyone would want to witness. Her revulsion was understandable. Do you have any proof? Yeah, I was so disgusted and angry. I took photos of Dad entering the hotel. When Sarah showed me the pictures, there was Richard, arm in arm with a much younger, beautiful woman. Wow, that's really unsettling. I'm sorry I didn't catch on sooner. Sarah shook her head. Actually, I was blackmailed for money by Susan. When I refused, Richard told me to divorce him. If I have this kind of evidence, I'll be the one filing for divorce. Sarah had been keeping this from me all along. She must have been going through a lot. I felt terrible now that I understood why Sarah had moved out. Could you send me those pictures? I have the divorce papers signed by Richard. I'll make sure to get alimony before the divorce is finalized. I'll go with you. I want to give Dad a piece of my mind one last time. Feeling empowered knowing Sarah was on my side, I finally grasped the full picture. It turns out Richard wasn't blaming Susan for her affair because he was cheating too. The moment I realized that, my disdain for him grew exponentially. That night, we drowned our sorrows in a heap of buffalo chicken wings and a good deal of venting about Richard. Far from being upset, Sarah seemed almost pleased at the idea of Richard no longer being in our lives. Then the weekend rolled around and Sarah and I went over to where Richard was staying. So you have finally come back, he sneered. We returned to find our home in shambles. Richard, never one for housework, hadn't bothered to clean or cook. Half-eaten instant noodles and snack wrappers were strewn all over the place. We're back, but what a mess. How can anyone live like this? Sarah said, visibly annoyed. How dare you talk to your parent like that? Richard snapped. Well, you won't be my parent much longer, will you? Sarah shot back, even more irritated. I have already told Sarah I have filled out the divorce papers. All that's left is to file them, I stated firmly. You really think you can actually divorce me? Richard challenged. I do, but first, there's something I need to confirm with you, I said. Richard, Sarah, and I sat down on the sofa. The table in front of us was dirty, which only made me feel more uncomfortable. Confirm what? Take a look at this. I showed Richard a picture Sarah had sent me. As he looked at the screen on my phone, his face went white. This is, he stammered. The picture showed Richard entering a hotel with another woman, leaving no room for excuses. That woman works for me. She wasn't feeling well, and we were just taking a break. You're not going to assume this is cheating, are you? Richard tried to wiggle his way out with a lame excuse. Assume? I took the photo right before you entered the hotel. She was laughing and didn't seem sick to me, Sarah said. I'll give you the divorce you want, but you will have to pay the alimony decided in court, I declared. I can't afford to pay alimony. I have to give money to Susan too, Richard protested. My disappointment in Richard, who was still prioritizing Susan even now, reached new heights. Then work hard to afford both. From now on, we'll talk through lawyers, so don't contact us again. I don't need a cheating dad. Please get out of my sight, Sarah added. We were just about to leave the house when we heard Richard's desperate plea. Wait, you've got it all wrong. Please wait. He came chasing after us. Think about it, Mary. If we get divorced, you're going to lose the house, right? You would just be causing yourself trouble. I felt not an ounce of love for Richard, who couldn't even muster an apology to the very end. It's your punishment for planning to use my money on Susan and for belittling me. I don't need this house. Mom, you can stay at my apartment for a while, Sarah said. Leaving a teary-eyed Richard behind, we walked out of the house. Oh, what a relief, I sighed. Me too, Sarah agreed. The thought that we wouldn't have to deal with Richard and Susan anymore lifted our spirits. Eventually, I was able to finalize the divorce thanks to Sarah capturing those incriminating photos. I also secured a decent settlement in court. Broke and penniless, Richard could no longer provide for Susan. As a result, Susan and David were unable to get married. They didn't just stop there. They broke off their engagement after constant fights about money. Susan blamed her inability to remarry on Richard. Infatuated with Susan, Richard felt responsible, and they now live together. However, due to paying me the settlement, Richard is also broke. In the end, they moved in with their parents, but I had already filled them in on the situation, so they got kicked out. People should learn not to depend on money and start living on their own. As for me, I decided to move back into my parents' home with Sarah. Fortunately, both of my parents are still healthy, so I used my saved caregiving funds to renovate our family home. The fully renovated house is incredibly comfortable, and both my parents and Sarah are thrilled. I plan to keep working hard to maintain a simple yet fulfilling life. Hello everyone, let me introduce myself. I'm Mary and my husband is Aiden. He is the absolute love of my life, and I want to make it clear that he is not responsible for his mother's annoying behavior. Aiden is a decent man who loves me a lot, so please don't blame him for anything. Now let me tell you about Aiden's mother, Violet. She's quite an unusual woman. I never thought she hated me, but she definitely had some issues from the very beginning. It seemed like she was in some sort of competition with me because we worked in the same field. She also seemed jealous of the fact that I have a college degree while she does not. Before I married Aiden, we rarely saw Violet, so her behavior wasn't a big problem. But when we moved to her small town after she suddenly fell ill, a lot changed. I soon realized how much of a show-off Violet was. She constantly boasted about her high-paying job and flaunted her wealth. When we first moved in, she made fun of me for having a low-paying job, saying, "It's so sad you had to settle for a low-paying job. I understand not everyone is qualified for a high-paying job." "Violet, I did have a high-paying job," I told her. "I had to leave it because we moved here, and the position wasn't remote. That's why I took a pay cut." "Whatever you say, Mary," she responded. "It's just that you have a fancy degree and all, and still can't earn well. You should learn something from me. I live in a small town too, and have one of the highest paying jobs here. I don't make excuses, Mary. I actually get what I want." Violet continued to mock me and flaunt her wealth. I come from a fairly well-off family but didn't like people knowing that, so Violet never knew I had more money than her. I was in a tough spot, having to sacrifice a good job and move to Violet's town, only to have her become a significant problem. My mental health suffered, and I constantly felt like a failure because I couldn't find a suitable job in the town. Violet's comments really hurt me. Aiden tried to talk to his mom and make her change her behavior, but nothing worked. She continued flaunting her wealth and rubbing it in my face that she had a better job than me. A year passed and nothing changed. I was still stuck in my old position and couldn't find a suitable job. I was growing increasingly frustrated, but there was nothing I could do. During that time, something unexpected happened that changed my life. But before I tell you about that, you need to know about an exchange I had with Violet at one of her parties. Violet loved to throw parties and often invited the ladies around town to her house. Aiden and I were also invited, but we didn't attend all the time. The last time, Aiden convinced me to go, saying it would be fun. It was the opposite of fun. We arrived at the party, and as usual, Violet paid very little attention to me. I kept to myself but joined the conversation when they talked about something other than Violet's job. However, the topic always reverted to Violet's job, and she started bragging about her high-paying position in our small town. I dreaded this discussion because I knew Violet would find something snarky to say to me again, and I was right. Violet began by saying, "So the company is being taken over by a new owner. I heard they will finalize the papers tomorrow. You know how I'm friends with the CEO, so I get all the information firsthand. I also heard some rumors about me getting a promotion once the new management is in place. It would be nice if the new owner promoted you. You are already in a good position, so they might want to promote you after the new owner takes over the company. I am sure that will happen. I'm sure it would be great, Mom. You'll be a top employee in the company. That's what you've always wanted," Aiden said. "Don't you have anything to say about this, Mary?" Violet turned to me with a smirk, intentionally targeting me out of the blue. I was staying out of the conversation because I knew who was taking over the company and didn't want to reveal it to anyone. But Violet wouldn't miss the opportunity to try and humiliate me, so she directly questioned me. Aiden looked nervous because he knew his mother was doing this intentionally. He was already embarrassed, and his face turned grim. I simply smiled at Violet and tried to keep the conversation light by saying, "I'm very happy for you, Violet. I'm sure your work performance will help you get a nice promotion. We will have a big celebration when that happens." "Oh, you don't have to act so innocent, Mary. I know you're jealous of me." "Excuse me? What are you talking about, Violet?" "You think I don't notice anything, Mary? I've seen how you look annoyed and dejected when I talk about my work. I know you're jealous because you work a low-paying job." "With all due respect, Violet, I am very happy at my job. Yes, I had to take a pay cut to work from home. But what can I do? There aren't a lot of jobs around in this town, so I had to choose a remote job. There is no reason to be shy, Mary. You can just say that you're not qualified enough for a job. I live in the same town and still have a way better job than you. I guess that college degree of yours is really for show. I don't have one, but look at me. I'm wealthier than you and have a way better job. As I said, Violet, I'm really happy for you. I'm glad you found a good job despite not having a college degree. As for your wealth, I don't have much interest in it. I do pretty well for myself. Oh, I've seen how you try to compete with me and get expensive things to match my lifestyle. You need to stop doing that, you know. You need to preserve your little income just in case you get kicked out of your job. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, but don't go out of your way to compete with me." Violet knew exactly how to twist reality to her benefit. She had no idea that I came from a wealthy family, so every time I bought something expensive, she thought I was trying to imitate her. Even if I didn't have her wealth, she made it seem like I was competing with her and trying to one-up her. It was super embarrassing, and everyone around us was giggling. It was a party with Violet's friends, and most of them were like her. No one wanted to piss Violet off and risk not getting invited to her grand parties. So they just laughed along with her while she made fun of me. I was so embarrassed and felt so humiliated that I wanted to dig a hole and bury myself. I didn't know how to stop Violet's nonsense. Thankfully, my husband was on my side and said, "No one is competing with you, Mom. You need to watch how you talk to my wife. I won't allow you to continually disrespect her like this. Relax, Aiden. I'm just looking out for both of you. I don't want you to be hooked to debts just because your wife is dead set on competing with me. She needs to stop being so jealous and work harder to get a better job." "I'm working hard, Violet. I'm better qualified than you and can definitely make more money if I want," I responded. "There's no need to lie, Mary. I get it that you're embarrassed, but don't take it to heart. I know you will never reach my level." "We will see, Violet. You may have a very high-paying job now, but there is no guarantee for the future. I know that I can get a better job than you, and one day I will show you that." I was so mad at Violet that I said those words and left the party. Aiden followed me and left with me as well. On our way back home, I started to cry while Aiden drove us back. I felt utterly humiliated at the party and knew that Violet had successfully painted me as a jealous woman. I had to defend myself, but no matter what I said, there was no denying one fact. Violet had a better job than me. I was crushed because moving cities and taking a pay cut had affected my confidence. It hurt a lot to work in a low-paying position after working so hard in college. I did it only because Aiden wanted to stay closer to his mother, who didn't have anyone else. We sacrificed a lot and moved to Violet's town because of her, but she was being nothing but nasty to me. When we reached home, I was still a crying mess. Aiden brought me inside and hugged me while I cried. Then he said, "I'm so sorry, Mary. This is all my fault. I shouldn't have insisted on going today. Your mother is a horrible woman, Aiden. She tried to paint me as a jealous person. I don't know why she likes to demean me every time she sees me. I guess Mom is just jealous of you, Mary. What you said was true. You can get a better job than her. But you had to step down because you moved here with me. She's also jealous because you were smarter and actually went to college. It's something she is scared of. Anyway, I don't know how much longer I can take her horrible behavior, Aiden. I don't care why she's doing this. I just want it to stop. It's already a sensitive topic for me, and she keeps rubbing it in my face. I feel horrible for doing this to you, Mary. You moved here because of me, and now you're being humiliated for no reason. I tried to talk to my mom about this, but you know how she is. She's just full of herself. I know, Aiden. I don't blame you. I know you moved here because you wanted to be close to your mother. I've seen what her recent health problem did to you. I don't blame you. But I am blaming myself, Mary. I feel terrible. You know what? We should avoid seeing Mom for a while. It would be best under the circumstances. She needs to be on a timeout. I was glad Aiden suggested that. I really didn't want to face Violet anymore. I was furious with her and didn't want her around. But there was another thing I had to worry about. If I encouraged Aiden to keep Violet away, she would use this opportunity to call me jealous again. It was an overall horrible situation, and I didn't know what to do. I told Aiden to sleep on it that night while I, too, took time to wonder what I was going to do. There was a plan in my mind, but I didn't know how to go about it. I was determined to show Violet that she was nothing compared to me and teach her a lesson about her own vanity. I knew what I could do but needed to be sure about my decision. The next day, I got a call from my father, Dave. Dad always called me after closing a big deal because he wanted me to be proud of him. It was a little tradition we had. This time was no different. "Hello, my dear daughter, how are you?" he said. "I'm doing fine, Dad. How are things on your end?" "Guess what, Mary? I closed the deal on the company I've been talking about. I bought it today." "Congratulations, Dad. I'm so proud of you. This is another victory for your company. I'm sure you'll be able to expand it much more this year." "Oh, I will, Mary. I wish you worked with me, though. You didn't have to be so stubborn and work elsewhere for experience. It's all for you, Dad. I'm working hard so that I can make you proud when I finally work with you. I hope it happens soon, my dear. I must admit one thing to you. This is why I bought the biggest company in your town. Otherwise, maybe I wouldn't have bothered." I was surprised to know that my father had bought the company because he wanted me to work with him. If you're confused about what happened, let me explain. You see, my father had actually bought the company where my mother-in-law worked. I knew that from the very beginning. I didn't tell anyone because Dad didn't like revealing these things before the deal was closed. So I didn't even tell Aiden, let alone Violet, that the company was being taken over by my father. Now that my father had told me about the deal being signed, I could tell Aiden about it. But first, there was another important issue I needed to talk about with my father. "Dad, you are really getting desperate to make me join your company." "What can I say, Mary? I miss you, and I wanted to have this special experience with you. I've been thinking about making your mother-in-law the CEO at this place so that we can keep the high post within the family. She already works in a high position there anyway." "My God, Dad, you really do think about everyone. Only you can see your daughter's in-laws as your own family." "What can I say? Your family is also my family. So what do you think, Mary? Should I make your mother-in-law the CEO?" My father was just trying to look out for me and bought this company so that he could be closer to me. I knew he was offering my mother-in-law the job only because he thought I was interested in taking it. I did tell my dad that I wanted more time the last time we spoke, but now I had an entirely different plan in mind. I smirked and said, "Actually, Dad, I don't think you should give the position to my mother-in-law." "Wait, what? You don't want me to make your mother-in-law the CEO?" "No, but you can make me the CEO instead." "Seriously, Mary? You would take that position? Don't tell me you're joking and playing with your poor father's feelings." "I'm not joking, Dad. I want to work in your company now. I think I already have enough experience. Besides, I don't want Violet to be the CEO at all." "Oh, why is that, Mary? Did something happen?" "Actually, a lot of things happened, Dad." I went on to explain to my father what had happened with Violet. I told him the whole story that I had never told him before. My father can be very protective, and I didn't want him to be rude to Violet when he came to visit us. Besides, I rarely shared my personal troubles with my dad because I didn't want to bother him. But this time, I had to tell him what went down between me and Violet. My dad patiently listened to me, and by the time I was done talking, he was pissed at Violet. "What in the world, Mary? I had no idea that your mother-in-law was so condescending. She's a nasty woman." "It is what it is, Dad, and that's why I don't want her to have the position of CEO. If you give me that position, I would have a chance to show her that I can be her boss." "What do you mean by if?" "I would make you the CEO. The position is all yours, Mary. You would have been the first choice. I only mentioned Violet because I thought you weren't ready to work with me." "I do feel ready, Dad. Maybe I was just scared of the responsibility. I didn't want to let you down, but I think my fears are irrational, I'm ready to tackle this new position. I feel confident. That's my girl, Mary. I know you will do great. Don't worry, the position of CEO is yours. I talked to my father some more and then hung up. He was supposed to drive to my town fairly soon for a takeover party and to have a meeting with the management team. This was the time when Dad had planned to reveal that I would be their new CEO. Their old CEO was actually being transferred to our city branch because he was good at his job and deserved a better position. He was super happy to switch with me because the move had increased his salary. In the following days, I ended up telling Aiden the whole story. He was super happy for me and actually chuckled when I asked him if he was mad that I took the position from his mother. He simply told me that his mother had managed to get a high-paying position only because she knew the previous employee personally. Even my husband thought that I deserved this more than her. I was just glad that he wasn't mad at me. That would have ruined my whole experience and set me back mentally. Anyway, the day of the takeover party soon arrived. I attended the party, but Violet didn't, so she still didn't know who took over the company and that I was her boss now. When she saw me at her office waiting for the big meeting, she looked surprised and said, "What are you doing here, Mary?" "I guess you haven't heard then. I am part of this company now." "I see. Well, the low-paying employees have their desks on the ground floor. You can find your desk there. Actually, my office will be here, and I have a meeting here in like 5 minutes. Is this some kind of a joke? Don't try to fake your job just to one-up me, Mary. This meeting is only for the higher-ups. We will meet the new owner and find out who is replacing our old CEO. I guess you don't know this either, Violet. Well, you don't have to go to the meeting to find out who is the owner and the new CEO. Let me tell you, Violet, I am the new CEO. What? No, that is impossible. You can't be the new CEO. Why not, Violet? I'm more qualified and even have some experience. Besides, the owner is actually my father, so it's natural for me to be the CEO. Are you telling me that this company belongs to Dave? That is impossible. Nothing is impossible, Violet. You like to flaunt your wealth, but not everyone is like that. My family is actually pretty well off and owns several companies. I never worked there because I was collecting experience from other companies. But thanks to you, I got the push to finally do what I need to do and become the new CEO here. No, this can't be true. These are lies. I told you that one day I will get a better job than you. Looks like I did it, Violet. Now you can go cry to someone else and try to tell them how they are insecure and jealous of you. Violet opened her mouth to say something but was cut off when my father entered the room with other employees. He politely greeted Violet while she stared at him in disbelief. She looked like she was about to pass out. Dad swiftly ignored her and started the meeting. When he finally introduced me as the new CEO, Violet's eyes went wide. She eyed me in envy, and whenever I wasn't looking at her, she even left the party soon after and didn't stay long. I guess she was embarrassed because her words had come back to bite her. I became the new CEO of the company Violet worked at. She had a hard time having me as a boss too. She was actually not a very good performer and was only in the company because of the previous owner's friendship. When I took over, I gave her several warnings to improve her work. She went crying to Aiden and said that I was bullying her. When she explained to him why I had scolded her, Aiden sided with me and told Violet that she was being unethical and wasn't doing her job well. In the end, after multiple mistakes, I had to demote her. She wasn't happy about it and cried to everyone. But now no one wanted to go against me because I was the most respected woman in the company. Eventually, we settled in pretty well in a small town. In a twist of events, Aiden and I ended up going low contact with Violet after she continuously blamed me for demoting her. We tried to explain our reasons, but she didn't listen. In the end, this, along with her previous behavior, made us have low contact. Aiden is the one who checks up on her sometimes, but even he is put off by Violet's behavior. We are now planning to move cities after 4 years once Dad's company is making good progress here. Then, we will be moving to my dad's city so that I can take over his main branch. Violet found out and is throwing a massive tantrum right now. Thankfully, even Aiden isn't listening to her anymore. My name is Robert, and I'm a hard-working single father who raised my son, Dexter, with all the love and care I could muster. Dexter was the center of my world, especially after his mother abandoned us when he was just a toddler. I worked tirelessly, holding down 2 jobs to keep our family afloat and provide everything Dexter needed. Times were tough, but I never once regretted the sacrifices I made for my son. Eventually, my hard work paid off. I received a significant promotion at one of my jobs, and financial stability became a reality. This allowed me to quit my other job and save enough to purchase a house, a symbol of our success and a place we could call home. I felt indescribable joy at finally being able to spoil my son, and spoil him I did. Since it was always the two of us, Dexter and I shared a very special bond. Our bond was unbreakable, and I cherished every moment with him. As the years went by, Dexter grew up to be just as successful as I had hoped. I vividly remember the day he got married. My heart swelled with pride and joy as I witnessed his union. For a few years, life was pure bliss. My bond with Dexter grew stronger every day. We were more than just father and son, we were best friends. We shared laughter, tears, and countless memorable moments. I loved him with all my heart, and I could see the same love reflected in his eyes. We supported each other through thick and thin, celebrating successes and comforting each other in times of hardship. Our relationship was a rock-solid foundation that gave us strength and made life feel complete. Dexter was my pride, my joy, and my reason for pushing through any challenges that came our way. Then one day, Dexter approached me with some information he had discovered. "Dad, I found out something important, and I wanted to talk to you about it." "What is it? You seem worried." "Well, I came across some information that says if we transfer the house into my name, you'll be eligible for full coverage health insurance. I know it's a big decision, but I really think it's worth considering for your well-being." "Oh, I see. You're concerned about my health, aren't you? That's thoughtful of you." "Of course, Dad. You've always been there for me, and I want to make sure you're taken care of too. This way we can have peace of mind knowing that if anything happens to your health, you'll be covered." "Thank you, Dex. It means a lot to me that you're looking out for my best interests. Let me take some time to think it over, okay? It's a big decision to transfer the house, and I want to make sure I fully understand the implications." "Absolutely. Take your time. I just want you to know that I'll support whatever decision you make. Your well-being is what matters most to me. How about we revisit this topic in a few days? Once I've had a chance to gather more information and consider all the options, we'll make the decision that's best for both of us." "Sounds good, Dad. Remember, I'm here for you no matter what. Just let me know if you need any help or have any questions." "Thank you, son. Your support means a great deal to me. We'll discuss this further soon, I promise." Touched by his care, I researched the details and found out that the benefits would kick in after 5 years. Believing in my good health and overwhelmed by love for my son, I decided to transfer the house deed to Dexter. I presented it as a heartfelt gift on his birthday, and his gratitude knew no bounds. I felt a surge of happiness and contentment, thinking I had made the right choice. However, my joy quickly crumbled when Dexter's wife called me a few weeks later. She revealed that Dexter had been cheating on her for the past year with a 25-year-old woman. Disgust and disappointment washed over me like a tidal wave. In a fit of rage, I called Dexter, hoping for some form of regret and an explanation. "Hi, Dex. We need to talk." "Sure, Dad. What's up?" "Your wife called me and told me something that deeply troubles me. Is it true that you've been cheating on her?" "Look, Dad, it's my personal life. I don't see why it's any of your business. Yes, I've been seeing someone else, but that's between me and my wife. I can't believe what I'm hearing. Cheating is a betrayal of trust, not just to your wife, but to the values and morals I raised you with. I'm disappointed in your actions." "Well, I didn't come here to discuss my personal life or disappoint you. Also, since I've taken ownership of the house, I expect you to move out within a month. It would be weird for me and my mistress to live with you. You can't be serious. I transferred the house to you believing you cared about my well-being. Now you're kicking me out without any consideration or remorse." "Look, Dad, this is how it is. The house is mine now, and I have my own life to live. Find somewhere else to live. I don't have time for this right now. I can't believe this is happening. I raised you with love and sacrificed so much for your future. I expected better from you, Dex. Is this how little our relationship means to you?" "Relationships change, and right now, this is what's best for me. I suggest you start packing and figure out your living arrangements. I can't believe this is how you treat your family. I never imagined you'd become so heartless." "Fine, I'll find a new place, but remember, Blood ties can't be severed, and trust once broken is not easily repaired. Save the melodrama, Dad. It's just a house. You'll find somewhere else to live, I'm sure. Goodbye. I had no control over the house, and with a heavy heart, I had no choice but to leave. My heart shattered into a million pieces as I packed my belongings and left the house I had worked so hard for. The pain of betrayal ran deep, and I couldn't fathom how my own flesh and blood could kick me out without remorse. It was a blow that struck at the core of my being. The knowledge that Dexter had married his mistress only intensified the agony. It made me question my abilities as a father. Did I not raise him well enough? Did I fail to instill in him the values of loyalty and respect? Doubts crept into my mind, feeling my anguish. Seeing Dexter move on so easily, building a life with the very person he had cheated on his wife with, was a dagger to my heart. It felt like the years I spent nurturing him, sacrificing for him, and loving him unconditionally were all in vain. I couldn't help but wonder where I had gone wrong. The pain of being discarded, replaced, and forgotten by my own son was almost unbearable. I struggled to make sense of the situation, grappling with a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, and a profound sense of loss. The wounds inflicted by Dexter's betrayal continued to fester, leaving me emotionally scared. Cutting off all contact with him was an act of self-preservation. I needed distance to heal, to find some semblance of peace amidst the chaos. In the years that followed, I fought to rebuild myself, to find solace in the knowledge that I deserved better. The pain of Dexter's betrayal never truly disappeared, but with time, I learned to carry it with grace and dignity, using it as a reminder of the resilience within me. 4 years passed, and just as I began to heal from the pain, the mistress, Jenna, showed up at my door. She introduced herself as Dexter's soon-to-be ex-wife. That made me raise an eyebrow. She told me she would love to explain further and asked that she could come in. I was a little apprehensive at first, but my curiosity got the better of me. I wanted to know what she meant by ex-wife. I invited her in and grabbed her a glass of water. We settled down on separate armchairs, and I asked her to explain what she meant. While doing a deep clean of the house, I stumbled upon a photo album from Dexter's previous marriage. When I confronted him about it, he admitted that he was married when we started dating. I was shocked. How could he deceive me like that? He didn't tell you? Wow, I thought you knew. I can assure you I had no idea. Well, I'm sorry that he deceived you like that. Naturally, I needed some space to process everything, but Dexter begged me not to leave him. He even confessed that he deceived his father just to be with me. That was the final straw. I couldn't stay with someone who would not only defraud his own family, but also continue to deceive those he claimed to love. I understand your anger, Jenna. I completely share your sentiment. But what exactly does this have to do with me? Why did you come here? I want to seek revenge, not just for myself, but for you too. We both deserve justice and the chance to regain our dignity. Together, we can make him face the consequences of his actions. I appreciate your concern and offer to help, but revenge, is that really the answer? I don't know if it's the right answer, but it's an answer. Dexter needs to learn the consequences of his actions, especially his hurtful ones. You're right, Jenna. I appreciate your determination and willingness to support me. Let's make him realize the magnitude of his wrongdoings and ensure that he doesn't continue to hurt others. I'm glad you're on board. Together, we'll show Dexter that he can't manipulate and deceive the people who love him without consequences. With her expertise as a real estate agent, Jenna unveiled a plan to target Dexter's vulnerabilities. She revealed that the transfer of the house while I was still alive had led Dexter to pay higher property taxes, nearly depleting his funds. They relied solely on Jenna's earnings to survive. Furthermore, since they hadn't signed a prenup, half of the house's value was entitled to her as marital property. Jenna had already served Dexter the divorce papers, and he quickly realized he needed her support to stay afloat. In desperation, Dexter offered to sell his share of the house to Jenna. This is where I entered the picture. I have a proposition for you. What if I sell you the house back at the same rate I bought it from Dexter? What? Jenna, are you sure? Absolutely. But why would you do that, selling it back to me for a fraction of its original price? I'm truly sorry for being the reason you were kicked out of your own home. I want you to have back the house that you've worked so hard for, Robert. It's the least I can do to make amends for the pain and suffering you endured. I don't know what to say. I'm overwhelmed with gratitude. I can't begin to express in words. You really don't have to do this, but I appreciate your kindness and consideration. You deserve to have your home back. It's important to me that you regain what was rightfully yours. You've been through so much, and I want you to heal and find some sense of justice. Thank you, Jenna. Really, your gesture means more to me than words can express. I accept your offer with deep gratitude. We'll work together to make things right again. With our alliance forged, Jenna and I delved deeper into our plan for revenge against Dexter. She took charge of collecting evidence, meticulously gathering proof of his infidelity. Once Jenna had a solid case against Dexter, she took matters into her own hands and sent the evidence to his bosses. Their workplace had strict rules regarding ethical behavior, and infidelity was a breach of trust they couldn't overlook. The consequences were swift and severe. Dexter was terminated from his job. The satisfaction I felt was bittersweet. While revenge may not have been the ideal path to healing, seeing Dexter face the repercussions of his actions brought a small measure of justice. It served as a reminder that one could not escape the consequences of their choices, no matter how powerful or untouchable they may feel. Jenna's strategic move not only stripped Dexter of his employment, but also left him in a vulnerable state. Now, Dexter found himself homeless and jobless, the consequences of his actions crashing down upon him in his desperation. Dexter reached out to me, seeking refuge. He recounted his miseries, hoping I would offer assistance. "Dad, I'm in a tough spot. I'm staying with a friend right now, but I can't stay here for much longer. I don't have anywhere else to go. Could you help me by letting me stay at your place? I know things are hard for you right now, but it's not easy for me to welcome you back so soon after what happened. I just bought the house back from Jenna, and your betrayal still hurts." "You bought the house back? Why would you do that?" "Because she recognized the importance of this house and the hard work I poured into buying it the first time, better than my son did." "Oh, you're being unfair. It's where I grew up, and I feel like I should have the right to be there. I get that it's meaningful to you, but trust was broken. It's going to take time for me to heal from what you did. I can't just forget the pain and invite you back without considering my own feelings. It's not fair. I need a place to stay, and I thought you would be there for me, especially since you're my father. I'm not completely abandoning you. I have a compromise. You can come back, but you'll have to pay rent and stay for a limited time. That's the best I can do right now, given the situation." "Fine, if that's my only option, but I didn't think you would actually treat me like this. I'm glad you understand how I felt." Throughout Dexter's 4 months stayed in the house I had once called home, I remained detached and aloof, intentionally keeping my distance. Gone were the days of warm conversations and shared laughter. It was a deliberate choice on my part, a reflection of the deep disappointment and hurt that Dexter had inflicted upon me. When Dexter finally mustered the courage to question my changed demeanor, I didn't hold back. "Dad, why are you treating me differently? What happened between us?" "You can't honestly ask me that question, Dex. With everything that you did, I can't be close to someone who betrayed their partner not once but twice, and who used and betrayed me in the process too. It hurt me deeply and shook me to my core. But Dad, I made some stupid mistakes. Can you forgive me? You got your house back. I'm back. Everything's fine." Mistakes. These were more than just mistakes. I made so many sacrifices for you, working tirelessly to give you a better life, yet you chose to ignore my struggles and betray the values I taught you. Things aren't fine, Dex. If I recall correctly, relationships change, right? You told me that when you kicked me out of the house. I gave you so much love, and you're right. Relationships change. This is a change you have to deal with. I never meant to hurt you, Dad. I'm sorry for what I've done." Sorry isn't enough. You turned your back on me, ignoring the loyalty and respect I hold dear. It's not easy for me to forgive or forget. I understand, Dad. I hope you know that I genuinely regret my actions. It will take time to rebuild trust and heal the wounds. I hope you understand that. The disappointment hung heavy in the air as I spoke, my voice laced with a mixture of hurt and frustration. I made it clear that I couldn't continue to support or embrace someone who had shown such disregard for the love and care I had poured into him. The wounds were still fresh, and forgiveness seemed like a distant possibility. With a heavy heart, I watched as Dexter absorbed my words, the weight of his actions sinking in. The pain in his eyes mirrored my own, but it was a pain that he had brought upon himself. At that moment, I realized that sometimes tough love is necessary to uphold one's own principles and protect oneself from further harm. Our encounter marked a turning point in our relationship, a painful but necessary step towards healing. I couldn't help but hope that Dexter would learn from his mistakes and come to understand the depth of the hurt he had caused. Only time would tell if redemption was within his grasp. But for now, I needed to focus on my own healing and finding a way to move forward without the burden of betrayal weighing me down. And so the story comes to its fitting end. Dexter, once a prince in his own kingdom, found himself stripped of everything he held dear. He lost his wife, or should I say, wives, his house, and his family. Dexter lived out his 4-month tenure in my house, facing the consequences of his actions and the weight of his betrayal. As he departed, I made it clear that I had no intention of rekindling the father-son relationship we once had. Dexter, aware of the irreparable damage he had caused, was left to rebuild his life, facing the consequences of his choices. Life has a funny way of teaching us lessons we never asked for. Through this arduous journey, I realized that redemption could be found even in the face of betrayal. Jenna and I were able to restore justice to our lives and reclaim our dignity. While Dexter may have learned the hard way, I hope he finds the opportunity to reflect on his choices and grow as a person. Hello everyone, this is Ruby, a single parent who once had a beautiful family. This story is about how my husband lost the love of his wife and children. It happened a while back, and I'm already on the road to recovery. I wanted to share my story so that no one makes the mistakes I did. I'm an avid painter and have always loved art. I've been passionate about it since I was a child, inspired by my mother, who was a painter herself. Although she never made it big, I admired her work. We came from a humble background, with my father being the breadwinner. Despite not working, my dad cherished and praised my mom for taking care of our family. Naturally, I assumed that love and respect were enough for a good marriage. I was wrong. I was a shy, introverted kid in school with no friends. My grades were okay, but nothing special. My dream was to go to art school, and my parents supported me unconditionally. My life was set until I met Chris in high school. Chris and I studied together for a few years without interacting. One day, he approached me. "Hello, you're Ruby, right? I'm Chris, your classmate. I don't think we talked before." "Hi, Chris. What's up?" "Actually, I need a favor. I've seen your sketches in the school locker, and I must say, you're extremely talented." "Thank you. I'm glad you like them. It's Mother's Day next week, and I was thinking of giving her some of your sketches. Can you please sketch my mom? In return, I can help you with your math homework for a week." "I'd be happy to help, Chris. I actually hate math, so I'm good with the arrangement." "Great. How about we meet a coffee shop for the exchange? The treat is on me." I was ecstatic that someone found my sketches interesting enough to make them a gift. That's how I started spending time with Chris. Our meetings at the coffee shop quickly turned into dates. Chris was a straight-A student with a bright future, and I was flattered that he made time for me. He stood up against bullies and was loved by everyone. It was easy to love him. Chris dreamed of getting a business degree and taking his father's small company to the next level. It's my dream to take my father's business to the next level. I'm so proud of what he's created, and one day, I hope to make it even more successful. And I'm sure you will. I have faith in you. You'll definitely get into your dream college. I hope you get to study art and remain passionate about it. You have lots of potential. I connect with you because of your passion for art. I guess we're similar in many ways. I love that you value my passion. You've accompanied me to all my competitions and stood by me for so long. I remember when I won a prize for painting, you cheered the loudest. I was happy to have such a supportive boyfriend. He introduced me to his family before our prom, and I liked them immediately. They were great parents to Chris. I developed a close relationship with his mom, Tammy, and we hung out a lot before I left for art school. Chris joined a prestigious college as a business major, and we were both following our dreams. I even took him to meet my parents on Christmas, and they loved him as much as I did. Sadly, when I was still in college, my parents passed away in a car accident. I was devastated. Chris was my rock through it all, helping me arrange the funeral and calming me down during panic attacks. Despite the pain and grief, I thought I could rely on him for anything, but I was wrong. 6 months after my parents passed away, I found out I was pregnant. It was a mix of happiness and anxiety. I had just lost my parents and didn't know how I was going to take care of a baby. My studies were taxing and balancing everything became difficult. Tammy moved closer to help babysit my child while I was in college. Chris's father was in a different state, so he didn't mind if Tammy lived with me. With everything in place, we looked forward to the birth of our baby boy. My family supported me whenever I needed it. However, after my son Daniel was born, everything came crashing down. I had a traumatic delivery and struggled to recover. In the end, I had to drop out of college. Postpartum depression and physical problems made it impossible for me to study. I was heartbroken, but my son needed me to be okay. Tammy and Chris were my biggest support during this time. However, Chris slowly became resentful. I can't help but think this is your fault. I can rarely go out anymore while you're having a great time being home with Daniel. I'm the one working hard to provide for the two of you. I'm sorry, Chris. I'm still in recovery. I'm trying my best to look for a job, but Daniel is very young, and we can't afford a babysitter. Tammy is already working hard to help. Just give me some time. I will find something. What job will hire you anyway? You have a useless degree that won't get you a job. You already spent most of your inheritance on medical bills. You're literally useless right now. Don't say that, Chris. You knew studying art was my passion. You were so supportive of me when I joined college. I never imagined I would be in this situation. If there was any way I could help you, I would. Just give me a few months to find a job. Chris simply got up and left. That night, I cried a lot after putting Daniel to sleep. His words kept ringing in my ears. I decided to start looking for jobs as soon as possible, no matter what. I was determined to ease Chris's burden. Chris later called and apologized for his behavior, explaining that he was feeling down and his friends were putting ideas into his head. I forgave him immediately. Within a week, I found a job. It didn't pay much, but it was enough for the time being. Tammy took up most of the childcare while I worked. I made Chris quit his job so he could concentrate on his studies. I didn't want him to overwork himself while studying. Times were rough, but we made it work. Chris slowly changed his behavior toward me and promised to take care of me when he became financially independent. I told him that I loved him and only wanted him to achieve his dreams. After Chris graduated from college, he took over the family business. His father, who was suffering from a heart condition, passed away within a year of Chris joining the business. Chris did his best to improve the company, and his efforts were slowly starting to pay off. I had to quit my job to look after Daniel because Tammy was grieving, and we didn't want to burden her with Daniel's care. Chris was making enough money to support us, so he wasn't bothered by my decision to stay home. Soon his business really took off, and he achieved his dream. I was happy for him and organized big celebrations to honor his success. One day, I approached Chris and expressed my desire to return to art school. I still had some inheritance money left that could pay for 1 year, and after that, I planned to take up jobs to fund my education. However, Chris was not receptive to the idea. Why do you want to go back to school? An art degree is useless anyway. It's not going to help you get a job. I think you shouldn't waste money on this. This was my dream, Chris. I wanted to become a painter. You achieved your dream. What about me? Well, my dream is bringing in the money. Yours is just a useless hobby. What good will that do for us? My friends will laugh at me for your dumb degree. I have to maintain our standards. You should be a housewife. Daniel needs you more. I was stunned and didn't know how to react. We argued for days without reaching a resolution. However, I was preparing myself to prove him wrong. I wanted to become successful and achieve my dream. Sadly, this was never to be as I found out I was pregnant again, this time with a baby girl. Chris became even more insistent that I stay at home, arguing that he worked long hours and the kids needed someone at home. Reluctantly, I agreed to focus on my children. They were my world, and I was willing to do everything for them. My second birth was less traumatic, but managing a toddler and a baby was extremely difficult. Chris was absolutely no help. All he did was work and complain about being tired. He never looked after the kids. I was surprised when Chris finally proposed to me. I thought he was trying to improve, and that made me happy. We had a big wedding, which was extremely fun to plan. Chris pampered me throughout the process, and I believed he was doing it to make me happy. It turned out he was doing it to maintain his image of a loving husband. After the wedding, it was as if I no longer existed to Chris. He worked all day in his office, and there were no date nights or even family nights. He never picked up after himself and only ordered me around. The kids missed their dad, who wanted to be left alone when he was at home. I never asked him for help after he ignored my requests in the first year. However, my children's pain was getting to me. One day, I said, "Chris, why don't we have a family outing this weekend? The kids really miss you. You know I have a business meeting this weekend. I'm busy. But you need to make time for your family, Chris. We're important too. Daniel has been crying for you. You even missed his poem recital. What can I do, Ruby? I don't have the luxury to stay at home with them like you do. At least someone has to earn money, right? A failure like you wouldn't understand. I suggest you stop telling me what to do. Chris, what is wrong with you? Why are you insulting me like that? You know I wanted to go back to college, but you didn't let me." "Of course I didn't. Why would I let you waste money on that? You were better off investing it in my business. Look how much money it's bringing us." Extremely hurt by what he had said, I started to see past his neglect over the years. However, it really hurt when he insulted me like that. It made me feel worthless. I should have walked away from him, but I didn't. I wanted my children to have both parents under one roof. I thought Chris was just stressed and would apologize later. The apology never came. As the years passed, the kids grew older and started to notice Chris's behavior. They were no longer attached to him. Gloria never experienced him as a loving parent, so she had no attachment to her dad. Daniel remembered his dad being more loving in the past, but the disappointment of Chris missing every milestone quickly added up. I tried everything to make the bad feelings disappear. I begged Chris to pay more attention to the children. "You need to make time for the kids, Chris. I'm already working hard and looking after them. I'm the only one taking up parental duties. I know you don't want me anymore, but the kids are suffering. They've already become detached from you. I know how to be a parent, Ruby. I'm the one feeding the three of you. You don't have to lecture me about improving our relationship." When Daniel became a teenager, he started to resent his dad. I tried to make him understand that Chris loved them, but he wouldn't believe me. All his friends had fathers who were present in their lives, and he felt like he was missing out. I was there for all his events and achievements, but he wanted his dad there too. One night, while we were having dinner, Daniel confronted Chris. "Hey Dad, are you free this weekend? Gloria has been pestering us for a picnic. The weather is getting better, and it's the perfect time." "Yes, it would be a great opportunity to hang out together. I'll make all the preparations. What do you think, Chris?" "No can do. I'm going golfing with my buddies. Can't change my plans. It's one day, and you can't make time for us. Why did you even become a dad if you didn't want to be around us? Watch your mouth, Daniel. I am your father, and you will respect me. I actually have work to do instead of sitting around like your loser mother. Ruby, what are you teaching my children? They don't even respect me anymore. I thought you just failed in your career, but it turns out you can't even be a good mother. Stop insulting Mom. She's a way better parent than you are. How do you expect her to have a career when you never helped her out? I'm not blind, you know. I saw what happened all these years. Stop it, Daniel. There's no use telling him these things. We have Mama, and that's enough. We can just go out with Mom and Grandma. See, at least one of you has some sense. I hope that ends this stupid discussion. It's okay, kids. I will take you out for a picnic. We'll plan something without Dad." I didn't want to make Daniel or Chris angry, but I noticed that Gloria, who had remained apathetic towards her father, did not take his side at all. She simply didn't care for his time or attention. I always thought it was my fault. I could have fought harder with Chris to spend more time with us. But he never listened to me. By then, I also found out he had been cheating on me with one of his business friends. I didn't confront him. I knew it would be useless. Daniel graduated high school and left at the first opportunity, joining a prestigious college to study software engineering. Gloria, however, was determined to follow in my footsteps. She was an even better artist than me and was adamant about joining art school. Daniel supported her, encouraging her to go for it, but I knew Chris would be furious. When the conversation finally happened, it went like this. "Gloria, you will be graduating this year. Do you have a plan? I mean, what are you even good at?" "Don't talk to her like that. She is a good student, Chris." "Well, I'm going to art school." "Don't worry. I don't expect you to know what I am good at, Dad. I have Mom, Daniel, and my teachers for that. Art school. Ruby, did you fill my daughter's head with your nonsense again? Gloria, you should know better than to waste your life like your mother. Do you want to be a failure like her? Mom failed only because she had a husband like you. Thankfully, I have all the support and talent I need to be successful. Don't talk to me like that. There is no way I'm paying for this useless degree. Well, you don't have to. My teachers say I would get a good scholarship in no time. I don't care if you don't support me. It's nothing new. Calm down, guys. Chris, Gloria is really good at what she does, even better than me. Please try to be supportive this one time. Chris just kept shouting at me for spoiling his children, again calling me a failure in front of Gloria. After all these years of abuse, I had enough. I sent Gloria to her room before tearing into my husband. I told him that I was tired of him not appreciating me at all. I am tired of your verbal abuse, Chris. You have been a horrible husband to me. The only reason I stayed was because of the children. If I had known you'd be such a bad father, I would have walked away sooner. Don't you dare call me a bad father. I'm the one putting food on the table. You're all nothing without me and my money. I would have made something of myself if you didn't stop me. You can keep your money, Chris. I don't need it. I'm getting a divorce after Gloria graduates. I am done with you. You can't leave me after everything I have done for you. I deserve better from everyone. Done what, Chris? Cheat on me with your colleague? I know it all, Chris. There's no need for you to be a victim. I am the victim here. You deserve nothing, and you definitely don't deserve me. Chris was absolutely dumbstruck by my onslaught. When I was done talking, he had his head in his hands and said nothing, as if he didn't care anymore. The next few days, I started to prepare for my exit. I talked to Tammy, Daniel, and Gloria about my decision. All of them were supportive of me. I'm sorry he did this to you, Ruby. I don't know where I went wrong with him. His father would be disappointed with him. I can't believe he did this to you, Tammy said. Tammy, it's not your fault. You have been nothing but kind to me and my children. Chris is the only one responsible for his behavior. I served Chris divorce papers just after Gloria's graduation. Chris acted like he didn't see it coming, begging me to reconsider and promising he would do better. He approached me and said, Ruby, please don't go through with the divorce. Give me a chance. I know I messed up. I still love you a lot, Ruby. I want to get better. Even the kids hate me. Don't leave me like this. You have made your bed, Chris, and now you have to lie in it. I stay for too long. I gave you plenty of chances. I can't do it anymore. This marriage was over when you stopped putting in effort and cheated on me. I don't love her, Ruby. She was just an escape from the stress. She doesn't mean anything to me. I'm sorry I wasn't supportive of you. I can change if you just have faith in me. I don't care anymore, Chris. You have taken away every last bit of dignity I had. It's time to leave you for good. I deserve better than you. Having a baby was life-altering for me. As the youngest child in my family, I was used to being taken care of all my life. But when I had my son, I knew everything would change. However, I couldn't have anticipated just how rocky the start of my motherhood journey would be. Hi, I'm Gwen, and at the age of 26, I had my first child. My son Heath was everything to me and my husband Hugh. From the moment I heard him cry in the hospital, I knew I was going to dedicate my entire life to him. After all, that's what parents do, right? Well, it doesn't go that way for every parent. This is where Hugh's mom, Trish, comes in. Trish, who had recently gotten divorced for the second time, came to stay with us. She wasn't in the best mental shape and had nowhere else to go. She had Hugh when she was very young, and the divorce had left him with a lot of emotional baggage. When I married Hugh, I learned that Trish had just had another child, which was surprising given her age. She and her ex-husband thought they could save their marriage by having a child, but it fell apart anyway, and she lost custody. When we brought Heath home from the hospital, Trish was over the moon. She would hang around his cradle for hours, just staring at him in awe. While I was somewhat glad she was around, I could sense that she missed the daughter she wouldn't see grow up. One day, as we were settling in, Trish asked, "So, what are you going to name him?" "I bet he looks like a Raymond or a Carlo." "Those are pretty names, but we've already decided on his name," I said with a giggle. "His name is Heath." "Heath, I love it. Little Heathy, can I hold him?" Trish eagerly asked. I gently placed Heath in her arms. She had handled more babies than I had, so I trusted her. Hugh and I smiled as she played with him. But soon, Heath started crying. "Here, let me have him. He's hungry," I said. "Oh, nonsense. He's not hungry. He just wants attention," Trish insisted, trying to play with him as he cried. I looked at Hugh, confused. "Mom, I think he's too young for that. Let Gwen take care of him," Hugh said, trying to intervene. "He doesn't have to be hungry." "I've got this handled," Trish replied, refusing to hand him over. "Please, Trish, let me have the baby. Hugh will get you some water," I said, trying to remain calm. "He's not hungry. His tummy is full. I can hear it," she said, shaking Heath gently. At that point, I lost my nerve. Heath started crying even louder, and I managed to snatch him away from her. Trish reacted oddly, trying to hold on to him, but I held firm. She made faces but kept to herself afterward. This was just the beginning of her odd behavior. She would always try to play with Heath, even when he was sleeping, which was incredibly frustrating. It would take me hours to get him to sleep, and she would wake him up the moment I looked away. She took no responsibility and ignored his crying, insisting that all babies ever wanted was attention. Food and sleep, according to her, came second. "Sometimes it's 2 hours before they get hungry," she argued. "Trish, Heath is only a few weeks old. He needs to be fed and sleep regularly," I tried to explain. "Oh, you new mothers think you know everything. No wonder kids these days are so spoiled," she retorted. Her silly arguments and refusal to attend to Heath properly made me feel like she was using him as a plaything, only keeping him around when he was fun. I decided to talk to Hugh about this, but he wasn't happy with the way I was talking about his mom. He wasn't around much when she played with Heath since he was usually at work while I was on unpaid maternity leave. "I wish I could have had paid leave, but my employers weren't very kind," I lamented. "I've already used up my 12 weeks of paid leave, and now I'm exceeding them. Hugh, can you please try to get along with my mom? She's been through a lot and probably just wants to bond with Heath." "I do get along with her, but she acts weird around our kid. Do you know, last night I woke up to Heath crying, and she was just standing over his cradle, staring at him. I almost had a heart attack," I confided. "She said she wanted to play with him but knew I wouldn't be okay with it, so she was just standing there looking. It was scary," I added. The situation was becoming increasingly difficult, and I knew something had to change for the sake of my son's well-being. "I know she can be a bit strange, but that doesn't mean she's going to hurt Heath. Just be a little nice and persuasive, and she'll melt away. She's easy like that, soft-hearted like you." "I really don't know about this," I said, my anxiety mounting. Heath was too young for a nanny, and taking him to work wasn't an option. I was a barista at a local cafe and couldn't afford to be away for long. Just having Hugh's income was barely enough to make ends meet. The future worried me. Originally, I liked the idea of leaving Heath with Trish while I was away, but now I realize how bad of an idea that could be. One day, while trying to get Heath to sleep, I heard loud noises from my room. Trish, who had been napping in there because we only had one bedroom, was stomping around, looking distressed. When she noticed me peeking, she swung the door open. "You think I should talk to my lawyer again?" she asked abruptly. "Talk to your lawyer? For what?" "For my baby, like the one you have. I think I can get her back if I try really hard. Maybe I could file a lawsuit against Tommy and prove he's not reliable for her to grow up with." Tommy was her ex who had custody of their child. I felt sorry for Trish. She was clearly in a terrible mental state, but I had to warn her about the potential consequences of her actions. "Trish, that's a reach. Even if you manage to prove Tony incapable of raising her, you won't get custody because that would mean both parents are considered unfit. She'd end up in the foster system until she turns 18. But then you can adopt her as soon as she goes up for adoption. You can bring her to me and everyone will be happy. You keep yours and I get mine." "Trish, no offense, but you sound like you're losing your mind. You need to relax and let go of this whole baby thing. You need help." "Are you calling me crazy? Me, the mother of your husband? Do you know what I've done to raise him, the sacrifices I've made? And now you're taking this baby away from me. He's my baby too. Since when are we talking about Heath? If you want your child back, the only way is to be real and legal. Maybe you should get some help and then prove you're capable of joint custody. Don't lecture me. You're just a barista who caught my son's eye. You won't make a good mom, not like me. What's with you? We let you stay in our home because you had nowhere to go. And this is how you talk to me. I'm sorry life hasn't been great, but lashing out at me won't help. Shut up, I'm leaving," she screamed, coming so close I feared she might hurt me or Heath. But she didn't. The custody decision had clearly affected her deeply, warping her thoughts. When I told Hugh what happened, he got mad at me for letting Trish out on her own when she wasn't thinking straight. He didn't believe me when I told him she'd been obsessing over the baby situation. Later, she came back home, saying she'd been sitting on a park bench all day, though it had only been a few hours. She apologized and receded into the room to nap. She asked to help put Heath to sleep, but I was cautious. I wouldn't let my baby in her hands without supervision. Things didn't get easier. After this, there came a time when I knew I needed to get rid of Trish for good. Things really took a turn one day when we were caring for a sleeping Heath. "How much do you need to spend to care for a baby these days?" Trish asked. "Oh well, the diapers, other care accessories, and the cradle all cost a bit. Around $100 for the first month, give or take, if you're lucky. Baby-proofing the house after they start walking or crawling can also add up or require some creative solutions." "Why?" I asked. "Do you have something on your mind?" "Oh, nothing. It didn't used to be so expensive back in the day when I had Huey. Still, I wouldn't hesitate to have a baby. They're complete angels until they start crying. But yes, I'd give anything for little Heath." "So would I, Gwen. So would I. I'd be willing to give up anything for our baby." Her calling Heath our baby felt oddly uncomfortable, but I tried not to dwell on it. Days passed quickly, and Trish began going out regularly every evening around 5 p.m. She'd leave the house all dressed up and with her purse. I doubted she was seeing someone new at her age, so I figured she was just taking walks and trying to look good. Honestly, we were supportive of her improving mental health. Her behavior with Heath also became more normal. She no longer acted weirdly, would give me the baby whenever he cried, and even helped make his food and buy diapers occasionally. I was relieved she was finally feeling better and more like herself. I was even considering leaving Heath with her when I went back to work, which was going to be soon. But then one day, I heard her playing with Heath in the living room. I'd been taking care of him all day and was exhausted. I tried drifting off to sleep, but Heath's cries woke me up. As soon as I got to my feet, he became quiet. Then I heard Trish. "That's a good boy. That's a good baby. You're mine, okay? You're my baby, and Mom is going to take real good care of you. We're going to go flying away to a nice place where you'll have nice toys to play with. Don't you want that?" I wondered how much of what she said was true and how much was just play. When I fully woke up, I realized his cradle had been moved from my room. The cradle wasn't very heavy, but the thought of her moving it without waking me was unsettling. When I moved into the living room, my heart skipped a beat. The cradle had been modified, and she'd hung massive Christmas balls on top of it to distract the baby. They looked pretty, but they were made of glass and could have fallen on his face at any time. I quickly rushed over and picked him up quietly. "What are you doing?" "He's enjoying it," Trish said. "Trish, where did you get these Christmas balls?" "I found them in your storeroom. I thought he'd enjoy them." "Trish, those are really heavy. Not for us, but for the baby they are. How did you tie them up there? They look like they could fall at any moment." Hey, what's with all this constant accusing? I got the baby to be quiet, and you're still not happy with me. I appreciate that you got him to be quiet, I really do. I'm happy that you're getting along with him, but these balls are dangerous. His older plastic toy wheel wouldn't hurt him if it fell. How did you even get it down? I thought it was attached to the cradle. Oh, I ripped it off. It didn't take much. This is so much prettier. I don't see the problem at all. I understand, but please, let's take it off, okay? It could hurt him. Don't put the old one back on. It looks too weak to hold anything. Trish made a face and pulled the Christmas balls away. As soon as she touched them, 2 of them fell straight into the cradle, leaving impressions on the bedding. That's where my child could have been. Her intentions were good, but her methods were dangerous. She left us in the living room and retreated to my room to sleep. Afterward, she became a bit detached from me. Every morning, she'd go out and not come back for hours. Every time I asked where she was going, she'd reply, "Just the post office. I'll be back soon." The central post office was far from our place, but not so far that it would take the whole day. She continued whispering strange things in Heath's ears whenever she had the chance and smiled at me weirdly when I was around. Feeling increasingly uncomfortable, I opened up to Hugh again. I told you, she's trying to get better. Why aren't you being supportive? Hugh said. She still acts oddly around him, telling him he's her baby and repeating her own name so he would say it first. You already know about the Christmas balls. I'm concerned. No, you're overthinking this. She's taking care of our baby. Yes, the Christmas balls were a slip-up, but you handled it, and she won't do it again. Okay? You need to help her get to the post office for whatever reason she's going. I've asked. She just says she'll manage and goes away, not coming back until evening. Hugh, she's obviously not going to the post office every day. Why would she? Because she used to work there and has friends there. Maybe she's gotten herself a part-time job. Then why would she tell us about it? I don't know. Look, just relax and stop keeping an eye out for my mom. She's innocent. There's no need to incriminate her. That was it. I kind of lost it when he refused to believe me, no matter what I said. The time for me to start going back to work was approaching. I knew this moment would come sooner or later, so I decided to prepare. Without letting anyone know, I installed the baby monitor in the wall, hidden from plain sight. When both Hugh and Trish were out, I got it set up. When I started working, Trish began staying home. Most days seemed normal. She'd take Heath away to play and then put him back to sleep. I was only working part-time, so I'd be back before it was too late. But one day, I heard her talking to Heath on the baby monitor. Oh, we're going to fly away, Heath, me and you. Mama has been working so hard at school. Teaching little kids like you will be someday. Oh, Mama has so many plans once she runs away with you. I heard Heath giggle and coo as she picked him up and spun around the room. My baby, oh little baby. Do you like spinning? Do you like it? Of course you do. We're going to go far away from your little cradle. I'll get you a new one with big shiny balls on it, and you'll have a pretty mom, unlike your mom. We'll make Daddy run away too. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. What was going on here? She continued spinning around the room for a while. When she finally sat down, Heath started crying. Within moments, she put him aside on the edge of the bed and held her own head in her hands, as if she had just gotten vertigo from playing with him. My soul almost leaped out of my body when I thought Heath was about to fall off the edge, but she picked him up just in time and put him back in the cradle. You keep crying, and I'm not giving you any more attention. In my house, you'll earn discipline from the get-go. Children these days, I swear to God, she said and slammed the door. I was starting to get really concerned. I had recorded the whole footage and considered sending it to Hugh, but I had to make sure I wasn't being delusional. That day, I went home early, worrying about Heath. Trish opened the door for me, looking all worn out and tired. She yawned and without saying a word, went back to sleep in her bed in the living room. I rushed into my room and quickly fed Heath. He cried for a bit but then fell asleep again. He wasn't quite taking to the bottle yet. Once things were quiet, I locked the room from the inside and began searching. Trish always kept a big red purse with her whenever she went out. I had to find it. After rifling through my room for almost an hour, I found nothing. Where could she possibly keep it? Curious, I went outside and saw it hanging from the coat rack. I grabbed it, making as little noise as possible, and lo and behold, she had been speaking the truth. She had a teacher's ID card for a school and a plane ticket in there. The ticket was scheduled for the day after tomorrow. I was blown away. This woman had been conspiring to run away with my child. I kept both items to myself and sent the video to Hugh, asking him to come home as soon as possible. This can't be real. Oh, for God's sake. Still think I'm overreacting? I asked. Hugh held the ticket and the ID card in his hand after watching the footage. He was completely speechless, but now everything had become clear. Trish had worked for months to save up enough money to make these arrangements. She clearly needed a lot of help. Hugh didn't have a word to say in his defense, but he said, "We'll need to call my father." Jonah picked up the call quickly. When Hugh filled him in, the conversation was quite saddening. But one thing was for certain. We had to get rid of Trish. She did not belong in our house. You think you should leave her in a retirement home? Jonah suggested. That's what I do. I don't know. I think she needs to be put in psychiatric care first, Hugh replied. So the bottom line is you want her out of the house for good? Yes, please. Okay, well, I'll come over to talk to her in person. Let's get started. Jonah had been around when Heath was born. He and Trish would butt heads over the smallest things, so it was a bit uncomfortable, but he showed up anyway. Hugh and Jonah talked to Trish, and there was a lot of crying and yelling. "He's my baby." "No, he's my son, Trish. You need to get out of here before we have to forcefully remove you." "Oh, I'll see how you remove me." I had lost my patience by then. Trish had done so much to anger me that I wanted her out of our lives for good. "You will never set foot in this house again. Just go away. Keep your hands off my son." "Enough, enough. The two of you." "Mom, please don't make this complicated." "Come with us," Hugh pleaded. The fighting continued for a while. Finally, we decided to place her in a retirement home for good. The people at the nursing home said they'd give her some psychological help as well. I didn't care anymore. I tore up the plane tickets in front of her and called the school she worked at to let them know not to have her close to any kids ever again. I may have overdone some things in my anger, but it was all necessary.